So like the internet is a gift and a curse. Yeah, you gotta, the only bad thing about the internet is every fucking body got an opinion.
Been whispering, speculating, and throwing their own versions of the story online. But now it's turning into something way bigger than anyone expected. Reports are circulating everywhere, claiming that Big Meech has finally reacted to the alleged fallout with 50 Cent. The same 50 Cent who built the entire BMF TV empire and helped turn the family's legacy into one of the most talked about franchises in entertainment. And just like that, the internet has fans are shocked, insiders are confused, and nobody knows what's really true. But the noise is so loud that nobody can ignore it anymore. These new reports aren't calm, they aren't subtle, and they definitely aren't playing nice. They suggest tension, misunderstandings, and private conversations that supposedly didn't stay private for long. Social media is filled with people picking sides, trying to decode cryptic posts, and wondering what could have possibly gone wrong after years of what looked like unbreakable loyalty and mutual respect. One source claims there were disagreements over creative direction. Another says 50 felt blindsided. And another claims Meech's camp wanted more control of the narrative. Nobody has the full picture, but everyone is acting like they do. The craziest part, fans are saying the energy feels different this time. Comments are rolling in non-stop, with people asking what triggered everything, why the tone shifted, and whether this is the beginning of something deeper, huh? Some believe it's all being blown out of proportion. Others swear there's real tension brewing. And a few claim the families are caught in the crossfire of something that should have stayed behind closed doors. And while none of this has been officially confirmed, the wave of reactions online is impossible to ignore. Whether these reports are exaggerated, misunderstood, or hiding something bigger, one thing is clear. The story has reached a point where everyone wants answers, and they want them now. The moment these reports about Big Meech reacting to the alleged fallout with 50 Cent started spreading online, it felt like the entire hip-hop and entertainment world suddenly paused. People weren't just talking, they were dissecting every possible angle, every past interview, every social media post, trying to understand what could have possibly pushed two powerful forces into this storm of speculation. It wasn't just about a show or a business decision or even a personal disagreement. According to some insiders, it was about respect, legacy, and the feeling that certain boundaries might have been crossed behind the scenes. But no one could say for sure, because all anyone had were pieces of rumors that didn't match perfectly, yet somehow made sense when placed together. Some online voices started bringing up old interviews where 50 spoke openly about carrying the weight of the BMF story, saying he wanted to represent it correctly, but at the same time, people pointed out moments where Meech's supporters felt the portrayal didn't fully capture the emotional depth of everything the family went through. Again, nobody knows what's true, but these are the kinds of claims floating around. And the more they circulate, the more fans feel like they're caught in the middle of something that should remain private. One alleged source close to the situation claimed that Meech didn't appreciate the way certain scenes were dramatized for TV. Another said he just wanted more direct involvement in shaping the narrative about his life, something that may not have been fully possible due to contracts and production timelines. It's the kind of behind-the-curtain tension that always exists in Hollywood, but usually stays quiet. This time, though, the whispers grew louder, especially when people started posting supposed screenshots of conversations between different members of the BMF team. Nobody could verify them, and yet they spread like wildfire. Fans began commenting things like, "Why is this even happening?" And they were supposed to be locked in forever. Others tried to calm the situation by reminding everyone that none of this had been confirmed, and that people online tend to exaggerate things the moment anything looks off. But the truth is, when two giants are involved, even a tiny misunderstanding can turn into a massive online narrative. Another layer? 2. This drama came from people claiming that Rick Ross's name was somehow pulled into the conversation. Again, not confirmed, Just something floating around social media. Few blogs suggested that Ross might have made comments that fueled tension, even if unintentionally. Some fans argued that Ross always shows love to be MF in his music, while others felt his involvement in any conversation about the brand could be misinterpreted depending on who's listening. This added another twist that made the situation look even more chaotic from the outside. Thing that kept showing up repeatedly across comment sections was the idea that Meech supposedly felt like too many people were speaking on his legacy without checking in with him first. Whether accurate or not, the internet took that idea and ran with it, pushing the narrative that miscommunication might be at the center of everything. Because when someone's story becomes a cultural phenomena, everyone feels like they're part of it, even when they're not. The public starts adding their own versions, their own opinions, their own rewrites, and if any part of that reaches the family in the wrong way, it can cause tension that wasn't supposed to exist in the first place. As these reports kept spreading, people began analyzing the timing. They questioned why the claims were surfacing. Now, why certain blogs were suddenly posting about it, and why fans felt like something was off. Some said it was all publicity for upcoming projects. Others believed it was simply online drama blown out of proportion. But a few voices insisted there was more happening behind the scenes, that there were conversations nobody had access to, and emotions that had been simmering for a long time, even on fan pages dedicated to the show. People were arguing about what should or shouldn't be included in future seasons. One commenter wrote, "If Meech is upset, then they need to change it immediately." Another responded, "We don't know if he's upset. These are just blog reports." And that's the strange thing, nobody knows the truth, but everyone feels connected to the story in a way that makes it personal. Some fans said they felt protective of Meech, while others felt loyal to 54 how much work he put into the franchise. Inside this whirlwind of mixed emotions, a separate conversation started forming about how fame, storytelling, and real-life legacies barely coexist without conflict. When a life is turned into entertainment, there's always a risk of miscommunication. Some insiders claim the situation wasn't even about anger or betrayal. It was about wanting control. They said Meech simply wanted to have more say in what parts of his journey are shown publicly. Again, none of this confirmed interpretations from people who claim to have heard things here and there. But something shifted online when a screenshot began circulating. ALLEGEDLY, showing someone from Meech's circle defending him. It wasn't harsh or disrespectful, but it hinted at frustration, almost like they were tired of seeing narratives created without context. People immediately began screenshotting it, sharing it, breaking it down word by word, trying to determine if it was real. Some fans claimed the tone felt genuine. Others said it was probably fabricated for clicks. Still, the timing was suspicious enough that the conversation kept growing. What made everything more intense was how quickly so many different stories began clashing with each other. One report claimed the disagreement happened months ago and only surfaced now. Another suggested it was something recent. A third said that both sides were actually fine and the entire situation was nothing more than fans misinterpreting online activity. It turned into a web of confusion where nobody could tell what was real and what was simply created by the internet's imagination. Even celebrities began reacting subtly, liking certain posts, reposting quotes about loyalty, posting vague captions about trust and misunderstanding. Fans began reading into every single thing. Someone even pointed out that a few hours of silence from either side meant something deeper. That's how intense the speculation became in the middle of all this. A few people started sharing stories about how much respect Meech always had for 50 and how grateful he was for everything the show brought to the family name. Others said 50 always showed love to the BMF legacy and would never intentionally portray anything falsely. Both sides seemed to have strong support from different corners of the internet, which only made the debate louder and more emotional. And just when people thought they had the whole thing figured out, new posts began circulating, claiming that Conversations were happening behind closed doors to clear things up. Nobody knew if that meant there were real issues being discussed or if everything was being blown out of proportion by blogs using dramatic headlines. But the timing of these claims made things even more unpredictable, especially because fans felt like something had shifted. Even if they couldn't explain exactly what it was, as the noise grew louder, the tension in the online space felt like it was building toward something bigger, something that people weren't prepared for, but also couldn't stop watching unfold. It created a sense that the story wasn't slowing down at all. It was gaining momentum, twisting into something even more unexpected with each passing hour. And the reactions kept getting stronger as more people got pulled into the conversation. The conversations grew louder online. But something else started happening at the same time. People began resurfacing older clips where both sides spoke about loyalty, respect, and how much they valued each other. These clips were being stitched into new videos with captions like, "How did we get here?" or "Where did things change?" Even though nobody had proof that anything had changed at all, still, the internet treated the situation like it was unfolding in real time, and every new comment only added fuel to the growing fire. One moment that went viral came from a podcast interview, where someone casually mentioned that creative disagreements are common when real-life stories become television. The guest never named anyone, never hinted at drama, but fans connected it to the reports and convinced themselves it was related. Within minutes, that short clip was circulating everywhere, with people arguing about its meaning. Some insisted it was a sign that the tension was real. Others said fans were reaching, but the fact that it spread as fast as it did showed how hungry people were for answers, even if those answers weren't fully grounded in anything confirmed. In the middle of the frenzy, a supposed insider popped up claiming that the issue was never about disrespect, but about miscommunication between teams. They said certain requests weren't delivered clearly and assumptions filled the gaps. This insider didn't provide proof, but their version of the story caught attention because it sounded calm compared to the explosive claims coming from other corners of the internet. And because it felt more grounded, people began debating whether the entire situation was nothing more than misunderstood intentions. But then another twist surfaced. A blog posted that a private phone call supposedly took place between someone close to Meech and a member of 50's production circle. The blog didn't say what was discussed, but it implied that emotions were high. They claimed voices were raised, feelings were expressed, and frustrations that had been simmering for a while finally came out. People questioned the authenticity of the report, but the idea alone was enough to reignite the chaos. Some fans said it sounded believable because passionate people are bound to clash. Others said it felt convenient for blogs to push that narrative without evidence. But once again, the conversation intensified. Then, a new layer emerged when social media users began screenshotting likes, unfollows, and sudden silence between certain pages connected to the franchise. People were counting who followed who, stopped interacting, and who seemed unusually quiet. Every small detail was treated like it meant something huge. Someone even wrote, "Silence is loud," causing that phrase to spread across fan pages like a theme in the drama. Even though these digital breadcrumbs could mean absolutely nothing, the timing made them suspicious for those already invested in the narrative. What made matters even more complicated were the emotional reactions coming from fans who felt personally connected to the story. Some were worried that this alleged tension could affect the future of the show. Others feared the family relationships behind the scenes could be strained by all the noise. A few even said they didn't want to see the legacy overshadowed by misunderstandings amplified by strangers online. It was wild how quickly the public moved from curiosity to full emotional involvement, as if they were part of the unfolding drama themselves. Amid this online storm, people started sharing stories about encounters they'd had with both Meech and 50 over the years. Some wrote about how respectful Meech was whenever he spoke about the show. Others recalled how 50 always credited the family for allowing him to tell their story. These personal anecdotes blended with the reports, giving the situation an unpredictable tone. One moment, fans felt reassured, and the next they felt anxious again as new claims surfaced. Then came the moment that shook the conversation again. A voice note began circulating online, allegedly from someone who claimed to know more than the blogs were saying. The recording was vague, mostly opinions and dramatic expressions of frustration. But because the voice sounded serious, people assumed it was connected. Some listeners believed it was authentic, while others argued it was staged to keep the story alive. Regardless of its legitimacy, the emotional tone of the voice note added a new layer of intensity to the narrative. Phrases like "things should have been handled differently" and "people need to communicate better" echoed through the clip, fueling more debate. Shortly after that, screenshots appeared from fans claiming someone close to the situation had posted a message about loyalty being tested when success grows. The post wasn't aggressive, but it felt heavy, like it was carrying a hint of disappointment. People immediately started analyzing the message, connecting it to the reports, even though the post never mentioned anyone by name. Fans were writing paragraphs under it, arguing about whether it was related or whether it was just a general statement that got caught up in the whirlwind. And then came a strange shift. Instead of arguing about whether the fallout was real, people began talking about how fame changes relationships. They discussed how real-life stories often become complicated when they are transformed into entertainment. They pointed out how creative control becomes a sensitive topic when someone's entire life and legacy are being retold to millions. Some fans even expressed empathy for both sides, saying they understood why misunderstandings could arise in such high-pressure situations. Still, others weren't buying the calmer narrative. A few insisted that the stories being shared online were too specific to be baseless. One fan wrote, "There's always some truth in the noise." Another responded, "Or maybe the noise is drowning out the truth." That tension between belief and doubt made the situation even more gripping for everyone watching. As hours passed, threads kept growing longer, videos kept getting more views, and theories continued evolving. It reached a point where people were creating full timelines of events based on likes, posts, interviews, and reactions. It was almost like watching a drama unfold in real time, except nobody knew which scenes were real and which were created by imagination and speculation. Then, someone posted a claim that a close friend of Meech's had responded privately to a fan message. According to the screenshot, the friend didn't confirm anything but said things were being worked out. Whether real or not, that single phrase sent the conversation in a new direction. People took it as a sign that discussions were happening behind the scenes. Some interpreted it as a positive sign. Others said it hinted at deeper issues. But the fact that it spread so quickly showed how deeply everyone was watching the situation. And that's when another unexpected twist hit social media. A photo surfaced showing two people allegedly connected to both sides meeting in an unfamiliar location. The photo was grainy, unclear, and lacked context, but that didn't stop anyone from dissecting it. People speculated about what the meeting meant, who initiated it, and whether it was connected to the reported tension. The lack of clarity gave the image a mysterious weight, like it held more significance than it actually did. As fans debated the meaning of every detail, some started expressing exhaustion. They said the situation felt emotionally draining, like they were invested in something without knowing the full story. But that didn't stop them from continuing to refresh feeds, hoping for new updates or clearer answers. And the longer the silence continued from the actual parties involved, the more fans felt like the truth was somewhere out there, hidden behind layers of rumors and assumptions. And while all this tension kept building, something else began shifting, quietly, almost unnoticed at first, but soon impossible to ignore, creating a sense that the story was about to take yet another unexpected turn. That quiet shift grew louder when people started noticing a pattern in the posts from individuals connected to both sides of the story. The energy felt different, almost like everyone involved was choosing their words carefully, leaving breadcrumbs without revealing too much. Some fans said it felt like a storm clearing, while others claimed it was the calm before something even bigger Whatever it was, it changed the tone of the entire conversation. Instead of chaotic accusations, the narrative started leaning toward emotional reflection, as if the people closest to the situation were reconsidering how much they wanted to let the public see. Then a long post began circulating, allegedly written by someone who knew both men personally. The post talked about how misunderstandings can grow when too many outside voices get involved, and how pressure can twist even harmless comments into something heavier. The writer mentioned that stories passed from one person to the next often lose accuracy, especially when they travel across social media where context gets replaced by speculation. The post didn't blame anyone, nor did it try to defend anyone. Instead, it sounded like someone who had seen too many friendships damaged by the influence of outsiders. Fans were divided, unsure whether to trust it, but they couldn't deny that the words carried emotional weight. Still, just as conversations began shifting toward a more hopeful tone, another unexpected moment hit the internet. A clip surfaced from an old interview Rick Ross did years ago, where he briefly mentioned the BMF legacy while praising the movement. The clip wasn't negative, nor did it hint at any tension. But because the reports involved his name, fans started twisting the context and reading into it like it contained hidden messages. The clip spread quickly, with users claiming it had deeper meaning connected to the current situation. Suddenly, Ross became part of the conversation again. Even though nothing in the video directly linked him to the alleged fallout, it was another example of how easily narratives evolve when people want answers. Then, something even more surprising happened. A short message appeared on a fan page claiming that Meech had sent a private word through someone close to him. The message didn't attack anyone or confirm any drama. Instead, it talked about wanting clarity, respect, and understanding. The tone was thoughtful, almost reflective, like someone who valued peace more than chaos. Fans reacted emotionally to each, sharing comments like, "This sounds like him," and "That's the kind of energy we need." Even though there was no proof the message was real, its calmness contrasted so sharply with the surrounding noise that people clung to it like a moment of reassurance. A few hours later, a different wave of speculation hit when people noticed that several influential voices stopped commenting altogether. Bloggers who had been posting non-stop suddenly went silent. Fan pages deleted earlier posts. A popular commentator tweeted a single line, "Things aren't what y'all think." That cryptic message caused an immediate uproar, with people demanding explanations and trying to decode every possible meaning. Some thought it hinted at reconciliation. Others thought it meant there was even deeper drama behind the scenes. Either way, it made the situation feel even more suspenseful. And while the internet argued about every little clue, something else began happening offline. People started sharing stories about how much the BMF legacy meant to communities across the country. They talked about how the show brought conversations about loyalty, struggle, and survival into mainstream culture. They talked about how important it was to keep the integrity of the story intact, not just for entertainment, but for the people whose lives were directly impacted by that history. These emotional reflections added a deeper layer to the ongoing conversation, making fans feel the significance of whatever was happening behind closed doors. But just as the tone seemed to be stabilizing again, a sudden twist caught everyone off guard. A new post appeared from someone who claimed to be in the room during a private conversation involving members from both sides. According to their story, voices were calm but firm, and while no harsh words were exchanged, there was a clear desire to clear the air. They described the atmosphere as heavy, not hostile, but emotionally charged, like to groups trying to protect their truth. The post didn't confirm any fallout, but it didn't deny the possibility of tension either. It simply said there's more to this than y'all know. That line spread across platforms instantly, giving fans a spark of suspense all over again. Once that happened, people started paying close attention to the smallest updates. A brief comment under a random post became a potential clue. A single emoji on an unrelated picture felt like a message. Everyone was watching, waiting for one of the key figures to break the silence and settle the conversation. But neither side rushed to respond. And that absence of direct confirmation only added more speculation to the mix. One night, another emotional detail surfaced from someone claiming to have spoken to an older family member connected to the situation. They said the relative expressed sadness, not anger, about how quickly outsiders turned the alleged misunderstanding into a public debate. They described how heavy it felt watching fans argue over things they didn't fully understand, and how painful it was seeing people speculate about relationships that had grown over years of respect, whether true or exaggerated. That small detail humanized the entire conversation in a way fans weren't expecting. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about celebrities and entertainment. It felt personal, emotional, and raw. Then the most surprising twist so far appeared when someone posted audio, claiming to capture a conversation between two industry insiders. Discussing the situation, the audio was muffled and lacked context, but the emotions sounded genuine. One voice said something about making sure the story stays authentic, while the other replied about handling things with care. The clip didn't confirm any feud, but the tone hinted at tension that needed resolution. Fans replayed it over and over, trying to catch every word, even though half the audio was unclear. The fact that it felt so secretive made it an instant viral moment. After that audio leaked, reactions some said it sounded like people trying to protect the legacy. Others insisted it proved there was real tension behind the scenes. More emotional fans expressed hope that the situation wouldn't damage the show or the relationships involved. The emotional stakes went up, especially for longtime supporters who felt deeply connected to the story. In the middle of this emotional storm, another message surfaced, claiming that meetings were being organized to bring clarity, not conflict. The person who posted it insisted that both sides respected each other, even if certain decisions had led to confusion or miscommunication. They said nothing was broken, just in need of a conversation. Although the message came from an unknown source, it brought a sense of calm, like a small ray of light in the middle of the storm. But then, as quickly as things seemed to calm down, someone else posted a new claim saying that things were far more complicated than the public realized. They didn't explain what they meant, but the mysterious tone of the statement reignited the tension instantly. Fans began speculating again, wondering whether something deeper was unfolding behind the scenes that no one was willing to reveal fully. As all these layers of speculation merged together, the story took on a life of its own, bigger than any single post, comment, or rumor. Every moment felt like a new twist. Every silence felt loaded with meaning. And every vague hint from anyone connected to the situation created a new wave of excitement, confusion, and suspense. The emotional intensity kept rising, pulling more people into the conversation, making the entire situation feel like it was building towards something nobody could predict. And with all eyes watching, waiting, refreshing their feeds, a new shift began to unfold, one that felt even heavier, even more emotionally complex, and impossible to ignore as it slowly pushed its way to the center of the narrative. That heavier shift started subtly, almost like a current under the surface that no one could see at first, but soon became undeniable. Online chatter hinted at a deeper conversation happening behind the scenes, one that could redefine how people viewed the entire situation. Fans noticed small changes, likes disappearing, subtle reposts, cryptic captions, and vague comments from individuals connected to both sides. Even though nothing was confirmed, the collective attention created an energy that was almost tangible, like the anticipation before a storm finally breaks. Every gesture, no matter how small, was magnified by the eyes of thousands, maybe millions, all speculating and waiting for a sign. Then came a wave of supposed insider posts describing a late-night discussion where emotions were raw but controlled. According to these reports, voices weren't raised in anger but were steady, firm, filled with an intensity that comes from years of shared history and mutual respect. Fans interpreted the descriptions in countless ways. Some said it meant reconciliation was imminent. Others feared it meant the calm before a public confrontation. The ambiguity kept everyone glued to their screens, debating and dissecting every sentence in threads that seemed endless. Even screenshots of a simple handshake in a photo became a symbol of peace or tension, depending on who was looking. Meanwhile, social media algorithms seemed to amplify everything. Old interviews, old pictures, and even casual posts from the past were suddenly being shared as evidence of what had been brewing for months. Every detail was connected, reinterpreted, and layered onto the growing narrative, feeding speculation and stirring emotions further. People were arguing about motives, intentions, loyalty, and the balance between creative control and personal legacy. The drama wasn't confined to one platform, it spilled over everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, even forums where longtime fans debated every nuance. That one particular twist involved a vague comment, allegedly from a close associate of Meech. The post didn't name anyone or accuse anyone, but discussed themes of trust, respect, and communication. People immediately tied it to the alleged fallout, reading meaning into every word. The emotional undertone alone was enough to spark a flood of reactions. Some fans applauded the implied maturity, suggesting that even if there was tension, both sides were handling it with care. Others questioned whether it masked frustration, fueling theories about what really went on behind closed door. At the same time, new reports surfaced, suggesting that Meech had reached out privately to express his perspective to someone from 50's team. According to these claims, the conversation was candid, heartfelt, and focused on clarity rather than blame. Fans quickly took sides. Some celebrated the attempt to bridge differences. Others insisted it was a subtle power move, a way of asserting influence without making it public. As always, no one knew the truth. But the debate itself created another layer of entertainment. Emotions running high as observers argued over interpretation. Then came yet another viral moment. A post circulating from someone claiming to be part of the creative team hinted at disagreements over storyline choices. While it didn't attack anyone personally, it implied that tensions were about vision, legacy, and accuracy rather than disrespect. Fans immediately connected it to previous reports, and discussions erupted across platforms. People analyzed the alleged timeline, theorized about motives, and debated whether the disputes were genuine or blown out of proportion by outside attention. Every comment, every reaction, every thread became part of a larger ongoing narrative, just when it seemed the conversation might stabilize. Someone shared a supposed snippet from a private message suggesting that patience and understanding were needed from both sides. The snippet was short and vague, yet it reignited speculation. Was it a peace offering, a warning, or just a reflection? Fans had no way of knowing, and that uncertainty only intensified engagement. Some readers saw it as a hopeful sign, while others treated it as proof that underlying tension still existed. Over the next several hours, the intensity only grew. Bloggers, fan pages, and social media commentators all contributed their interpretations. Some argued that miscommunication had escalated into perceived conflict. Others claimed there was more beneath the surface than anyone could guess. Even minor details, like a single reaction emoji, were scrutinized as potential clues. The collective attention made the entire saga feel larger than life, like a reality TV episode being performed in real time, except everyone watching was a part of the drama simply by observing. As reports continued to flow, the story began to focus less on blame and more on resolution. Speculation shifted toward possible outcomes. Would there be a public acknowledgement, a mediated conversation, perhaps even a joint project to repair perceived damage? Fans debated every option endlessly, and each rumor sparked new arguments, new interpretations, and new emotional reactions. Loyalty, respect, and legacy became recurring themes, with different voices emphasizing each in turn. The emotional stakes felt personal, even for those who were just casual observers. People weren't only invested in entertainment, they felt invested in the relationships, history, and honor of everyone involved. Then came a moment that felt almost cinematic. Someone posted a photo of two individuals allegedly meeting at a discreet location. The photo was grainy, the context unknown, but fans instantly connected it to the ongoing situation. Discussions exploded, debating whether it was a secret reconciliation, a planning session, or just a coincidence. The mystery made it feel urgent, electric, like the story was moving toward a climax, and everyone wanted to witness the next chapter unfold. Threads multiplied, screenshots flew across platforms, and emotions ran higher than ever. Following that, a wave of supportive posts emerged from fans defending both sides. People emphasized the importance of understanding, patience, and perspective. They encouraged calm dialogue and reminded everyone that social media amplifies uncertainty. These voices didn't stop speculation, but they added nuance, encouraging others to consider the human side of the drama rather than just the narrative shaped by reports. The combination of intrigue, emotion, and speculation created a perfect storm of engagement, keeping the story alive and ever-changing. Additionally, more insider claims appeared, suggesting ongoing communication and attempts to align creative vision with personal expectations. While these claims were unverifiable, they provided new angles for fans to analyze. The uncertainty became a source of fascination, creating what some described as an emotional roller coaster. Every development, no matter how small, had the power to shift sentiment instantly. Observers found themselves emotionally invested, commenting, sharing, theorizing, and engaging with every new piece of information. Finally, as hours turned into days, the combined weight of speculation, emotion, and anticipation reached a peak. The narrative had grown far beyond any single report, message, or post. It became a living story shaped by the interpretations of fans, the subtleties of alleged insider information, and the mysterious silences of the people at the center. The tension, suspense, and unresolved questions created an ongoing conversation that could continue indefinitely. Each moment, each small action, each vague post contributed to a sense of drama that felt very real, even though the details remained unverified. Throughout all of this, the emotional core of the story persisted. Loyalty, respect, miscommunication, and legacy remained at the center, giving weight to every interpretation and every reaction. Fans were emotionally invested not just in the reports themselves, but in the implications, the potential outcomes, and the human drama behind the narrative. It's a combination of suspense, speculation, and emotion ensured that the story remained a focal point of conversation, comment, and fascination. And in the midst of this whirlwind, the lingering sense remained that, despite all the noise, there were still answers to be found, conversations to be had, and perhaps, one day, clarity that would finally satisfy everyone who had been following this drama from the very beginning. After all the speculation, screenshots, clips, and cryptic messages, one thing is clear. This story has captured the attention of fans everywhere, and the emotions are running higher than ever. Whether the reports about Big Meech and 50 Cent are fully accurate or partially exaggerated, the wave of discussion shows how invested people are in loyalty, legacy, and the real human relationships behind the entertainment. Every comment, post, and shared clip has added another layer to the drama, keeping everyone guessing, debating, and watching closely for the next move. It's not just a story about entertainment, it's about respect, communication, and how easily misunderstandings can spiral when millions are watching. And that's exactly why this story has blown up online. Fans are weighing in, taking sides, analyzing every small detail, and connecting dots that may or may not exist. Emotions ran high, questions remain unanswered, and the situation continues to evolve in ways nobody predicted. The uncertainty itself has become part of the thrill, turning casual observers into deeply invested fans who feel personally connected to every twist. From cryptic posts to viral screenshots, every piece of content fuels the conversation and keeps people coming back for more. If you've been following this drama, now it's your turn to join the discussion. Hit that like button. If you've been hooked by every twist, drop a comment and tell us what you think really happened behind the scenes. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an update on the story as it unfolds. Turn on notifications because this saga is far from over, and every detail could reveal something new, shocking, or unexpected. The conversation is happening right now, and your voice is part of it. Stay tuned, stay engaged, and keep watching because the drama surrounding Big Meech, 50 Cent, and the BMF legacy is only getting more intense and more intense